About 1989, I was working in a record shop in Colchester, and one of the guys I was working with put a record on by a band called American Music Club, called United Kingdom. What the year, about 89?
I don't know.
That's what it said on Wikipedia. I just thought this is absolutely amazing, and I've been really kind of keen on Mark Eitzel's work ever since the work he's done with American Music Club, the work he's done as a solo artist sort of subsequently. And about a month or so ago, I bothered him on Facebook and said, would you mind coming along and talking to our students about being a songwriter and your craft? And rather ridiculously, he said yes. So I'd just like to welcome Mark Eitzel here. Thank you very much for coming. Hopefully Mark's going to sort of talk a little bit about what you do and your experiences in the world of music.
Yeah.
Play a few tunes.
I'm terrible public speaker, so.
I'm trying not to be Michael Parkinson, so
he's great.
I'll try not to talk too much. I've got a couple of questions I'm going to chuck at you, but feel free to just to ramble on. I'm hoping if you guys have got any kind of questions as well,
jump in.
Do.
Yeah, because
I have a
it'll
mic.
help me.
I'll wander around and do the Jeremy Kyle thing at you. Let's sort of start off at the beginning. Mark, how did you get into making music in the first place?
Just a little kid, listening to radio, and you just hear the radio. I guess, I didn't really, I thought I would be all kinds of things besides a songwriter. It was sort of the path of least resistance in the end because I was too fucking lazy to do anything else. And this was the only thing I could do that was easy, so.
What kind of, you were in bands before American Music Club, I mean, how did you kind of, what your influences at that kind of stage when you started out?
Well, I grew up in Southampton. I was English when I was a kid. And it was, in my era, it was all the 70s, so it was all that, everything from progressive rock to, for me, it was all about Joni Mitchell and Joan Armatrading, and I hated Supertramp, and I don't know, everything, I mean, Slade was great, I loved Sweet, I loved, it's pretty much, there's nothing I hated, when I was a kid.
Are there any, I mean, people like Joni Mitchell, is there anything that they do that's worked their way into
well, Joni Mitchell, Joni Mitchell, the thing that really strikes you about her is how ambitious she's always been. I mean, there was a time in the world when songwriters ruled the world, when every little thing that came out of their mouths was sort of important. Those times are way over, but she was sort of in competition with the best, and she held her own. She's amazing. But it's the ambition. It's like, it is, verging into pretension, but still ambition, still like, I'm gonna make this art.
You said, I was going to save this till almost the last question actually, but you said when we were talking via email, you felt like songwriting was a bit of a redundant art form these days. I'm trying to encourage this lot to go off and do it.
Well, no, I wouldn't encourage anybody to do it at all. No, I mean songwriting itself. I mean, the whole idea that you tell a story and you have craft and you have all this stuff. It's kind of another digital casualty. I mean, my boyfriend, he works with like people like LaToya Jackson, and he works with people who write for. I've met this songwriter, and he's all loud and proud about being best friends with what's her face, some huge R&B artist. Huh? No, not Rihanna. No, I don't follow this stuff because it's too commercial for me. But I know that he's just a top liner. All he does is like feed her like a line here and there, and then he's given a certain amount of money, and then he's invisible. So, and that's the future. That's it. You have great beats, and then you need a singer.
Never appealed to you, sort of.
It's so hard, man. I mean, I'm so I really like. Unfortunately for myself, is I've always thought that this was an art form, and not like most, honest songwriters who see this as a commercial thing to make money and fame. I've never felt that way. So, because it's a bore. Because I always think by the second verse, all you're singing about is how endlessly empty life is. Does that make any sense?
How do you go about, a terrible question, but how do you go about writing your material? I mean, do you have a kind of common, Nick Cave, who's someone I like, has an office.
Yeah, well, he's the real...
Do you have an office?
No. No, I'm the laziest person in the world. I have a notebook somewhere. I have a notebook that I write shit down in, and I remember I did a show in Cleveland, and a young woman came to me and said, well, how do you write all these songs? What's your secret? And I said, well, I read books. And she was like, oh, really? And I thought, fair enough,
That's good advice, I think. Have you got something you can play us to sort of kick us off?
Well, this song, this guitar actually. No, it's a dodgy
guitar.
This song is, I don't know, do we need the amp really?
You can do it with that if you like.
Well, anyway, this song is, I guess, one of the reasons I'm bullshit as a songwriter is I always try to include things that really happened. It's sort of, every song, usually something really happened, which is a lazy man's way of doing it, I guess. But this song is about a bar called the Mission Rock Resort. It was an old hippie bar by the water in San Francisco. Now long gone. Now an exclusive oyster establishment and dance club by the water. Lines around the block. I think it's $50 to get in. Yeah. But at the time, we went there and got smashed out of our minds, and then rode our bicycles miles back to our neighborhood. It is about, never mind, the story is actually true. So. Let's go have a drink at the Mission Rock. Watch the Oakland lights across the dry dock. Watch the blue sky darken like an inhalation over the graveyard of ships. And your conversation, it's sad when you try and manipulate me. It's sad 'cause I don't love you that way anymore. And you're worried if you remember to use the right needle. Well, honey, so what? So what? We'll sit and watch the planes take off from Oakland and circle gracefully in a sky so royal and blue. They flash their lights like a jewel in your princess crown. Then they vanish forever. Hey, how's the margarita? Will you be around very much longer? And our talk is useless. It only makes it seem like we're clever. And then nothing changes. Then nothing changes. Then nothing changes. Then nothing changes. Not ever. Here's a very important instrumental bit in the middle. It's very creepy and odd. If I could talk it out of you, I would. If I could beat it out of you, I would. But all I can do is follow stupidly behind as you walk to the big broad ocean in your mind. And there's always more, always more ties for you to sever, and then nothing changes. Then nothing changes, and then nothing changes. Not ever. Thanks. It's funny, I cut that chorus short because it's a master class. I can do that. No, because, I once worked with Peter Buck from REM, right? And we wrote songs together, and he was always telling me, repeat the chorus, man. Just repeat the chorus over and over at the end. Just repeat it. That's what people want to hear. That's the whole release of the song, is the chorus. And I'm always like, why? Who cares,
You've, one of the things I was going to ask you about was the different styles you seem to have written in any way. A lot of your albums and your music covers what I'd call alt country, I suppose. That's from 60 Watt Silver Lining, which is a little bit more on the jazzy side, I guess.
My mid-career jazz record, as
Yeah,
one critic put it.
I asked you kind of before today, I said, can you do Mission Rock on the guitar?
I can't. I forgot that whole little bridge. Now I document everything I do, but I wrote this so long ago that I was just like, what did I play?
Is it a conscious thing? You kind of, do you wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to do a jazz record, I'm going to do a country record?
That was just because in our American Music Club, that's all we talked about was, how beautiful, it's also soul music, just how you make this beautiful music from hate, from poverty. You make beautiful, you make beauty as a gift. So that's why I made that, because I thought, well, I'll do a jazz record. I'll just, and it's not great.
It is, it's great.
Some of it's okay, some of it's cloudy.
You've played with a band, you've done solo stuff. Whenever I've seen you, you seem to be doing something slightly different. I've seen you play on your own a couple of times, play with a full band, play with AMC. How's collaborating? How does collaborating fit in with the songwriting process for you?
I've tried, it's hard to collaborate. I find it to be an absolute drag. Because the challenge is always trying to find what you're trying to say. And, when you start a song and you never know where you're going with it. So, at least I don't. I mean, again, I'm not a normal songwriter. I'm more, it's like, I remember once when I was a kid and we were traveling, a bunch of teenage kids, and we were traveling, and we were out in the middle of nowhere, and there was these seals. And we were all like, fucking seals. And immediately somebody started singing to the seals, and I was like, yeah, sing. That's the only way to connect with those stupid fucking seals out there. It's like you connect with a mystery. You connect a mystery with a mystery, which is a song. And so for me, you're creating. I mean, last night I saw Ron Sexsmith at the Royal Albert Hall, and say what you want, that it's middle of the road, droll, it's all one tempo. He writes the most beautiful love songs, and that's hard. What was I trying to say? I was trying to say, just for me, it's only interesting writing a song where you don't ever know what you're trying to say. It's always great to be in a mystery. As soon as, I always find that as soon as when I post online, when I, as a middle-aged man, I extol my politics online, and then I reread what I write, and it's like, oh man, I'm so stupid. you know, because it's what I know. You know, it's only interesting what you don't know, to me.
What's the relationship between lyrics and music for you in that? I mean, are the lyrics the primary communication?
Yeah, I mean that's, yeah, lyrics, I mean, songwriting, you know, I always have this argument, it's not poetry at all. I mean, poetry, you create the music with the word. It's all implicit, it's all a package. That's why poetry is so fucking hard. Songwriting is words that sound good with music. And I take that from a great songwriter who used to write for a band called Rat.
With two T's.
With two T's,
yeah.
I write words that sound good with music. You know, but it's true. But it's actually the truth, you know? That's all it is. You know, it's the music that matters, not the words.
So when you were kind of playing with American Music Club, for example, I mean, do you kind of have, are you the songwriter? Are you the, you know, are you like a
Well, that was the thing. That was the thing with you know,
or?
that's the thing. So you try to collaborate with people, you know, and you have a guitar player that wants to change the time signature like every bar, you know, and he's like dun 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 dun, and you're like, what the fuck, you know? And what do you say, you know? How can I express myself with that, you know? And so I ended up just writing the songs because I thought, and we arranged them all together, and that's not denigrating at all. I mean, American Music Club was amazing because of the arrangements, you know, especially that guitar player that could never play one thing over and over again, you know, he actually came up with amazing shit. So yeah, I mean, I was with great minds, but I wrote all the songs.
So when you're, I mean, like you've just been touring Ben's Warm Gentle Rain, Mark Eitzel's Warm Gentle Rain?
No, well, yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
And you've reinterpreted a lot of your work for performance.
Well, that's the thing, you know, songs ought to be completely malleable. Like you ought to be able to do a country western song. The same song can be country western, it can be soul, it can be heavy metal, it can be anything. A song could be anything. It doesn't really matter. And so when you have new musicians, and I think what my band this time was a pianist, a drummer, a stand-up bass player, and you know, they all have their limitations, and they're all like kind of West End, you know, theater people, you know, so they're like, you know, they're trained, and it's so fucking weird. They're like, you know, I'll do a chord, you know, like one of my chords, which is, you know, or what's a weird chord? On this tuning, anything sounds odd, but they'll be like, yeah, that's like an F sharp over a C and a D, and it's this. And you're like, how do you do that? But in a way, there's a limitation of that too, because you kind of want people to go crazy. You want, you know, so I don't really like to tell people exactly what to play. I write out charts for people, but then I'm like, no, do whatever you want, actually. And it's always better.
When you're performing live, like you've been on tour just recently, is there an element of kind of improvisation to what you do? There clearly is with your singing.
Not really, no. They're rock solid.
They all know what they're doing.
They all know the fuck. They're so great.
Okay. Can you play us another song?
All right. All right. This is another true story. Well, let's go toast the twilight at the old horror house. It's a graveyard, the music loud, the future bleak. We'll say hi to Mr. Lead Pipe, he books the bands, says he's free, squeals like a pig when forced to speak. You see the speaker stacks covered with a thick pile of dust, Turn it up, turn it up, turn it up, give me something I can use. I wanna get fucked up and give up and end up someone else. Sometimes you just have to lose. You see the plywood stage and the carpets are rotten, and the band is so loud they're lighter than air, and the singer's heart and soul had long since been bled, and like the ocean, she didn't care. And the music, it was blasting, and I couldn't hear what she said. Oh, but when she signed my poster, she wrote, I love you. She wrote, I love you. She wrote, I love you, but you're dead. Now the guitar was pure evil, it was like the engines on a jet. And the singer, well, she was just as beautiful as she was bored. And when she started crawling around on the ground, well, honey, you bet we all been down on that beer-soaked floor. Mr. Lead Pipe fell in love, he said, oh, would you look at that slut? Beauty brought what was left of him to the edge of despair. He said, for a little, I bet she would do a whole lot, 'cause you'll do anything when you're not really there. And the music, it was blasting, and I couldn't hear what she said. Oh, but when she signed my poster, she wrote, I love you. She wrote, I love you. Sorry. She wrote, I love you, but you're dead. She wrote, I love you. What is that fucking thing? She wrote, I love you. She wrote, I love you. She wrote, I love you, but you're dead. Now tonight I wanna disappear, so wish me Godspeed. And for membership to the human race, I give up my claim. And I'll control my arms and my legs and my hands and my hair and my face like I'm holding a gun in a video game. Thanks.
Who was the band?
Oh, it was Destroy All Monsters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's off. Oh, this is where I sound like a DJ. That's off your new album, Mark.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about the new album?
It got put out. All the bills were paid.
You're working with Sheldon Gomberg.
Yeah, I got a fancy LA producer, a wonderful man, you know, just made me finish the damn thing. An incredible man, you know, he's got MS, and he's in a little wheelchair and a little scooter, and he can barely move, and never complains, always on time, always, let's do it, come on, let's do it, you know, except he can't really do that. You know, just an amazing guy.
How do you find working with a producer? Because you do a lot of tour CDs, and presumably you kind of
Yeah, I
produce
love
those
working with a
yourselves.
producer. I'm not an engineer. I know my way around Pro Tools pretty well, but you know, I mean, gosh, I mean, I hang out with people and I'm like, is that how you use a compressor? Really? I mean, this is after 10 years of using them. So. Yeah. I mean, I'm terrible at it. Literally.
You did, you've done a couple of albums that have been kind of much more electronic than acoustic. Do you approach that differently in terms of your songwriting? Does it change how you...
It's harder. I mean, it's really easy to just sort of do this. It's second nature, you know? And I think for a different generation, it's second nature to use a drum machine or something, you know? So for me, it's just second nature to do that. It's just what the mind is used to.
What kind of drew you to working like that? Because it seemed a bit of a surprise at the time.
Oh, people hated it. Yeah.
It was good. But I have to say that. No, it was. It was good.
Yeah. Well, I listen to it and I love it. So, I you know, it's that thing where, you know, you struggle. I was doing a record. I got dropped by Warner Brothers and they gave me a bunch of money to go away. So I spent it all on nothing. On beer, actually. And actually, but I also tried to make another record, which failed. It was no good. So then then this producer who did a band called Third Eye Blind, they were very big in America for a minute. And he said, well, I need a tax break, so I need a tax write-off. So I'll do your record up until January 1st, I'll do your record. So I was like, fine, and I kept rewriting the lyrics, driving him crazy. So it didn't, he said, okay, well, it's January 3rd. If you want your record, I'm gonna need at least, unless you give me at least $1,000 a day, I'm being insulted. So I said, really? And he said, yeah. And I said, okay, fine, fuck you. Take the files, they're yours. And so I had 3 of the songs. I used 3 of the songs that he recorded. And you know, I learned Pro Tools. I just had to, because there's no other way to make the record.
You've been doing stuff for, a couple of years ago, was it 2010, you did the Marine Parade play, so you're kind of starting to move into a different medium writing for theatre?
Yeah, it's really humbling.
How do you approach that?
It's weird how, when I listen to a song, when I like it or when I don't like it, it's never whether or not it's simple or complex, you know? Like, you can listen to the reason Burt Bacharach, for instance, is good for me, and I mean everyone here is probably, who the fuck is that, right? But he's this American songwriter that did these incredibly florid arrangements, and he did all these huge hits in the 70s and the 60s, which I think are amazing. The reason that he's good is the way that he plants words in a phrase, the way that he allows everyone who sings it. Like when I say that songs should be malleable, that they can be in any genre you want, it's because you make them steel traps, you make them their own little world. You have to be completely done, you know? You can't have holes, you know, like Mission Rock Resort, there's a hole. It drives me crazy. It's a big gaping anus of a lyric, and I've never been able to resolve it, and I don't care anymore, so fuck it. But you have to do it that way, or like, you know, because I hear a lot of music all the time, a lot of songwriters, and you just kind of listen to it and go like, oh yeah, you can hear, I mean, I don't know how to explain this, but when you write for other people, it's a harder level even than just writing for yourself, writing, you know, like the way I described, because, you know, like I worked with these actors, and they're all classically trained, but they don't know how to sing, you know, and you have to explain, try doing this when you talk, and then put your words in the middle of this, you know, and they don't know how to do that. You know, so you have to give them, the words have to do it for them. And it really taught me a lot. I worked on this musical for about 3 years, and we tried to circumvent the normal musical form. It's more of a, you know, like people, when they come in the room, they don't say, I'm coming in the room, you know, which so fucking insulting, you know. So we tried to, it's more of an interiority of the, blah, 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 the characters. So, and these poor people, you know, I would write these phrases. I can't remember these songs right now, but I would write too many words, you know, like with this kind of, you know, like, you can't sing that? And they're like, I'll try, I will try, I will. And you're like, oh, wait, okay, I'll rewrite it. Okay. And I learned just the economy of just placing words in a phrase. Almost like you're telling a joke. Almost like it's got to sound like you're talking it. And in fact, that's the best kind of songwriting is when it's just like, you're just talking it. It's just coming out of you really beautifully. And that's really that's what others want to sing. And yeah, I rewrote all these songs top to bottom. I was rewriting up until the very day before we went on stage, just because I love these poor singers, you know.
Do you spend a lot of time crafting your own lyrics for your own songs? Because one of the things that's always attracted me to your work is there are these phrases in your songs that just really kind of grab you.
Well, that's for me. That's always the problem because I have no filter at all, and I like surrealism and I like strange lyrics that just kind of stick out. And I always have to pull myself back and say, what are you truly trying to say? And then you, without lapsing into absolute cliche, there's a way to tell cliches, you know? There's a good way to, I mean, it's great to tell a cliche if it's part of the cool, I mean, if it's part of the moment, if it's part of the song, and it makes absolute sense within the song, you can say any kind of dumbass cliche you want, and it's beautiful. In fact, it's better because it's what people really say and how they really talk. But I hate them. And I try really hard not to do them because I'm afraid of people realizing how dumb I am. So, you know.
Who are your favorite lyricists? Who do you admire as wordsmiths and songs?
Iggy Pop. Gosh, I have a terrible, that's with their name. Oh, shit.
I'm trying not to mention Nick Drake, because I talk about Nick Drake to my students a lot, but you mentioned Nick Drake at the Birmingham gig that I saw you at.
Yeah, Nick Drake. Yeah. He's that classic thing where he writes really simple, cliche-ridden sounding lyrics, but they're really not. They're really about, it's all about the receding, his whole world is always somewhere near the horizon.
Yeah.
You know. And he really was great. Was he a junkie?
Smoked too much grass.
No, I think he was also.
Well, people have suggested, yeah, there may have been a bit of other things.
It's all good.
You're not suggesting that makes you a better lyric writer, right?
I wonder sometimes.
You mentioned earlier on about kind of biography and you know, writing about things you know. Do you find it difficult to, I mean, A, to kind of filter that into your songs and then B, to perform this stuff every night? Because some of the things you've written about are, you know, clearly quite personal experiences and maybe difficult things that...
Well, you know, life is too short, and I'm only just beginning to learn about what it is I want to say and what I want to do as a songwriter, as a writer. So yeah, when you're young and healthy, it's really great to write super dark, depressing songs about murder and death, and everyone that could possibly fuck you, you hate, you know, because you're young and healthy. You know, but when you actually been through shit, it's like, wow, I don't even want to hear that. I don't, that's just false. You know, you want to hear hope and redemption, and you want to hear kindness. You know, because that's harder. That's harder. So for me, I don't know. I sing those songs, you know, and I've got all these old fans, and I mean old, and they want me to revel in the darkness and doom. And they want me to, I used to get on stage and I used to just, you know, I had a fifth of whiskey before I got on stage, and while I was on stage, probably, you know, a 12-pack, half of which I'd kick over because I was always falling over, and I was always, you know, I was one of those guys. You know, and that was crazy. It's like, why? And I remember I had I had a moment when I thought, why am I who am I doing this for? It's definitely not helping me. You know, I wake up every morning with the ceiling spinning and a feeling of loss, you know, which I do anyway, but yeah, so I stopped. And a lot of people were like, I remember a German football team in Groningen came to see me once, and it was this whole show where I was flailing around and doing all that bullshit. And then they came back, and this really big guy was like, I don't believe you now. I think that you are lying to me now. And I was like, yeah, good. Of course I'm lying to you, because you're a liar. That's what you hear.
Does it bug you when you get people at your shows kind of asking, kind of, you know, calling out for the old standards?
No, it's great, and I do them. Absolutely. You know, and as I do it, man. When I sing Blue and Gray Shirt, I think about my mother dying of cancer, you know? I do. I really do. And it's great, and it's a blessing, you know? I'm really proud of having written those songs, because I think I wrote them without a lot of sentimentality and without too much self-pity. Without too much. A little bit. And when I think about, I mean, yeah, Western Sky, yeah, absolutely, those songs. Because even though I don't really care about lyrics, they're kind of the backbone. What really matters is your intention, what you want to do, you know. I remember Third Eye Blind. This just occurred to me. I had a meeting, we had drinks with him and his girlfriend, Charlize Theron, right? I didn't know who she was at the time, and she wouldn't sit with us. She sat, like we're all at a table, and she was over here at a chair with a Coke. You know, and he was breaking the law, he was having a beer. God, LA, you know. And he said, he was like, you know, Eitzel, you know, you get all these good reviews, you know, and this was a few years ago, but he's like, yeah, people like Rage Against the Machine and people like Beck, they get like 4 or 5 star reviews, and we get 2-star reviews, and we sell more records. Why? Fuck them. And I was like, honey, you're honestly mediocre. And people really connect with that. You know? And people see that you're honestly that guy. And people completely relate to you. And that's fine. You know?
Is that your advice then, be mediocre?
No.
If you want to succeed.
No, I don't think, I mean, if you want to succeed, you know, it's not about going to the gym and getting a personality. It's really about trying to save people, you know, trying to really give them hope and joy. I mean, I know that's a cliche. It seems like every time I'm sincere, it sounds like a fucking Hallmark card. But seriously, I mean, that's it. You know, like last night, you know, like watching Ron Sexsmith. I mean, he's a very, like, I think he's a great songwriter, but he's not really a great performer. He's big and fat and dumpy, and he's old, and, you know, he filled the Albert Hall. All of his songs are, and you know, he's suicidal as shit. You can see it, you know? He's not a happy man, but all of his songs are about redemption. Every single one. I remember I saw Little Jimmy Scott many years ago. He was such an inspiration for me. Little Jimmy Scott, I think he's like 80 years old. He just had a stroke. You know, he can barely sing now, which is a shame. But Little Jimmy Scott's a jazz singer from the 30s who's like, you know, he's got this big voice. And every single show, he starts with Blue Skies from now on. Come on. You know? Yeah.
Can you play us another song? Do you have a song of hope?
No.
Okay.
See, I'm not good at these things. I'm not. Oh, I'll do this one though. Well, come on, beautiful. We'll go sit on your front lawn and watch the fireflies as the sun goes down. They don't live too long, just a flash and then they're gone. We'll laugh at them and watch the sun go down. Well, you're so pretty, baby, You're the prettiest thing I know. You're so pretty, baby. Where did you go? Tell me why you don't sleep anymore. Tell me what you sit up all night waiting for. Are you waiting for loneliness? Hey, to paralyze? Are you waiting for Sister Midnight to anesthetize? Well, you're so pretty, baby. You're the prettiest thing I know. You're so pretty, baby. Where did you go? Where did you go? Time to finish the prayer that started as a kiss, the overwhelming dream of happiness. And I'll give you all of my good luck for the overwhelming dream that's killing us. Well, you're so pretty, baby. You're the prettiest thing I know. You're so pretty, baby. Where did you go? Oh, come on. We'll go sit on your front lawn. I'll hold you in my arms, and we're gone, here and gone. Hey, firefly, hey, where did you go? Where did you go? Where did you go? Where did you go? Hey, firefly.
Cool, that's lovely. There's a bit on the, sorry, this is a personal thing. I was just listening to Songs of Love at the Borderline, and there's a bit where you do the harmonic thing and you go, I'm always fucking this part up. And just every time I hear that, that's fixed in the song now for me.
It's a whole.
Yeah, it's good. You were talking about being on Warner's earlier on, and you've been on a variety with AMC and UoN, a variety of different sizes and flavors of record label. What's your kind of experience of?
I say, thank God they're all fucking gone. You know, I mean, I've never. I mean, I remember, when I signed with the major, it's like it was great money, and that's good, But yeah, I mean, the indies. I have, I've got one indie that's sitting on my record. Will never ever put it out or release it. Claims, you call a number and it's some guy, some Joe in a space on Riverside Drive in Hollywood, apartment number 4443C, right? And he's, yeah, what do you want? I'm like, I'm looking for the record label that put out. Yeah, this is it. Oh, yeah, have your lawyer call me. Click. So, and then there's another man who's a really good friend who sits on 4 records that he'll never ever release, and is acrimonious, and the web claims that even though I'm a gay man and have been for many years, out for many years, I wrote a song called, it goes, I lay my songs at Johnny Mathis's feet, right? He claims that's a homophobic tirade. I'm like, really? Jesus, I can't win. And then the majors always, I mean, they paid the bill, so I have no problem with them. They were just as dumb as the indies, you know.
You're with Decor at the moment.
That's my manager's label.
Okay.
He's a friend.
Is that easier?
Oh, it's a lot easier. We
Yeah.
bitch and Skype, and we bitch at each other all the time, and it's great. I love him.
So what would we're going to have to kind of wind this up, but I mean, despite songwriting being a redundant form in the music industry, falling to pieces.
I don't think it's a redundant form. You know, obviously not. I still love writing songs. I just see it, I just kind of see it like it's broken up. It's no longer, you can't really have this big capital letters songwriting anymore. It's not a big fucking deal anymore. It's like you produce stuff, you know. Like instrumental music, I think, is just as relevant as songwriting. There's great instrumentalists out there, which I think, yeah, fuck yeah. You know, so for me, I don't really like these labels anyway, you know. And yeah, no, it's not even redundant at all. I'm just full of shit. You know, I'm just moaning.
We've probably, I won't do the Q&A thing. I think would you mind if people just come up and have a chat to you afterwards?
I don't mind at all.
Would you mind playing one more song for us?
No, really?
Go on. That's what
They
you
don't
do.
want to fucking hear it, do they? I'll do this one instead. I'll do this one. Well, Lazarus wasn't grateful for his second wind or for another chance to watch his chances fade like the dawn. And I can barely tell you just how bad I get without you. Well, I've been a mess since you've been gone. Well, I've been a mess since you've been gone. And what were the first words that the crowd heard dumb Lazarus speak? I'll bet he was cursing at the sky. I'll bet he wasn't turning no other cheek. And was there still hope and desire left in his dead heart for the last word, for the last word? It's love. Will I Your beauty is just a slap in the face that's gonna bring me back to life, back to another sky that's blue, that's gonna turn me into another great American zombie. So hungry, so hungry for you. Well, I've been a mess since you've been gone. Well, I've been a mess since you've been gone. Well, I've been a mess since you've been gone. Yeah. I've been a mess since you've been gone.
A little bit of my heart is just broken. It's such
Oh.
a beautiful song. Excuse me, I'm just swooning. What's next? What's next for Mark Eitzel?
I don't know. I gotta paint my house
Okay. What colour are you going to paint it?
white,
Okay.
everything inside, because that's what the yuppies want.
Right.
Because I'm gonna rent the motherfucker out, I'm gonna make money. And then I'm gonna move to Los Angeles, and then I'm going to Amsterdam, and I might do another musical piece with this theater company there. And I'm writing a bunch of new songs, you know, so.
Fantastic. Well, Mark's going to hang around for a little bit if you want to have a quick natter, if you don't mind. Otherwise, I'd just like to say thank you very, very much, personally and on behalf of the students.
All right, thanks.
Cheers, Mark Eitzel.
Thank you.